Hi guys, sorry to interrupt your video. Just a quick plea, subscribe to my channel please. If you haven't done it already, subscribe. Tell your friends, subscribe. Thanks. Road markings. Right. A solid line means stop and give way, basically, right? So a thin line at traffic lights, there. Thick lines at stop lines. Here you can stop and then creep if safe, but you must stop. Lots of people fail their driving test by treating this like a give way. So they come up to it, they go very, very slowly, checking, and they drive out and they've just failed their driving test. You must drive to the line, so my recommendation is do not even look for traffic when you have a stop sign. Drive up to it, stop at it, then creep forward looking left and right if you want, and then come out the junction. But if you haven't stopped at the line, you haven't complied with the law. If you break the law, the examiner's hands are tied. You break the law, he fails you. Here we have the stop line for pedestrians that are crossing, and you get double, which is the give way for traffic onto a major road there. Okay, can also be used at mini roundabouts. Fine. Here we have another give way to the right at a roundabout, and give way to the right at a mini roundabout. So this one's actually done two. They've done both here. See, so we've got the double and we've got the thick one. So nice. It's good to be consistent, isn't it? And again, there's the blob of paint, so you can hit it with two wheels, but don't go hit the flag. And don't go the wrong side. Right, lines along the edge. Right, so a line across the edge. And this is a question that comes up in the theory test a lot, and people don't read the question. It says, what does this white line along the edge of the road? And they answer what the white line in the middle of the road is for. So read the question. Okay, lots of people are just throwing points away because they're not reading the question. So marks along the edge of the carriageway so that you can see it clearer at night. Or when you've got low sunlight, sometimes it can be very easy to miss where the edge of the road is. Notice you get broken lines at the entrance to properties, fields, whatever. So you could be just driving along the road, you've got a solid white line on your left, up ahead you see some dots, you know there could be a tractor coming out of a field, for instance. Okay. Then we've got the parking restrictions that we mentioned earlier on. These are all down the left hand side, we all know about this. So that's no waiting sometimes, no waiting anytime. You've got parking bays, this is no stopping anytime, no stopping sometimes, and loading restrictions and all that sort of stuff. But we covered that earlier, so moving on. There are restrictions regarding loading as well, and that's what these ask, because beforehand we were saying no waiting, but you could load or unload lorries, do a delivery, you know, that sort of thing. But these are specifically saying lorry drivers can get stuffed, go away, you're not interested, all right? So there are restrictions regarding loading as well, and they are shown by lines going over the curb. Just like yellow lines for waiting, doubles mean you can't, singles mean you can't sometimes. Just like the no waiting and no stopping signs. You've got one line for no waiting, two lines for go away, no stopping anytime. Same thing, same principle anyway. You also have bays for loading so that lorries can deliver goods. So you've got these things here, and maybe they're restricted by time sometimes. Centre white lines. Think of the lines in the middle of the road as a row of bricks. The more bricks there are, the harder it is to cross to the other side of the road without hitting one, right? The line is used to tell you how dangerous the upcoming road is and whether or not overtaking is a good idea. Right? The line nearest to you is the line that you need to comply with. Okay, so the council will put these white lines down, and the more lines there are, the less they want you to overtake. Centre white line. Okay, so you get a centre line here. The line is shorter than the gap. So it's all quite spaced out. Therefore, not many bricks in the middle of the road. Therefore, they're saying, yeah, fine, go on, cross lines if you want to. And because there's not much paint, the road ahead isn't that dangerous. So therefore, it's just marking where the middle of the road is so you don't fall out your lane. Here we have a hazard line. The line is longer than the gaps. So therefore you are approaching something hazardous like a blind crest or a junction, and they're suggesting that you shouldn't overtake, but you can if you get a good view. So maybe you brought your Ferrari or you're on a motorbike. Of course, remember, lots of different vehicles exist. So whilst a car might have trouble overtaking here, if you had a motorbike that was sitting up higher, he could see there's nothing coming. So they're not saying you can't overtake, but they're saying this could be dangerous, we don't recommend it, because they don't know what you're turning up in, do they? Double white lines, da-da-da, like this. 2 lines, right. A solid white line nearest to you means no overtaking. You are also not allowed to park on a road with double lines. So here, no one is allowed to overtake in either direction. Doesn't matter which way you're going, because the line nearest to you is solid. Here, however, traffic A can't overtake, because they would have to cross a solid white line, but traffic B has a broken white line, so therefore they can overtake. So what's happening here is that probably just here-ish there's something dangerous, like a crest of a hill. So people approaching the hill are being told don't overtake, but people who have already done the hill are being told, yeah, go on, carry on, because they're now not approaching something dangerous. So it's always for how dangerous is the upcoming road. Okay, theory test question. This comes up. When may you cross a solid white line? Okay, so a bit of background on it. The highway code is ambiguous on this one, and I've had arguments with examiners about it. So I've looked at regulation 26 paragraph 6 of the road traffic signs regulations and general directions 2002, like you do, because you know I've always got one in my back pocket. I have done a video about overtaking in itself, which I would like you to watch before you do the driving test, so have a look at it. But here's what it says. Which looks fascinating, and you're welcome to freeze the video at this point and read that to your heart's content, but I do summarise it on the next slide here. So you can cross a white line when safe to enter a side road, property or land, to pass a stationary vehicle, someone who's broken down for instance, to pass a road maintenance vehicle travelling at 10 miles an hour or less, to pass a pedal cyclist travelling at 10 miles an hour or less, or to pass a horse travelling at 10 miles an hour or less. And that includes if he's got a thing. Trap? Is it a trap? Horse and trap. Yeah. Towing something. Right? You can also do so when you're avoiding an accident, or direct to do so by a traffic warden or a police person in uniform. Right? The white text in are questions that appear in the theory test, to make sure you know it. Damn right. Okay. So to reiterate, you can cross a solid white line when you're entering a side road, overtaking a parked car, or passing a road maintenance vehicle, pedal cyclist or horse, when any of those three are travelling at 10 miles an hour or less. Okay, that's what it actually means. It's a little bit ambiguous if you read the highway code, because it says you may overtake a pedal cyclist and a horse, or a road maintenance vehicle travelling at 10 miles an hour or less, which sort of implies that it only applies to the road maintenance vehicle, but actually the 10 mile an hour speed limit does apply to cyclists and horses and road maintenance vehicles. That's the ambiguity. Alright, so that's when you may cross it, but otherwise don't. You also get fat versions of lines like this that are used to separate traffic to protect traffic turning right. Okay, or protect traffic. Right, so you've got these things here. If the area is bordered by a broken white line, then of course that means you can overtake. And the rule is that you should not, i.e. recommendation, enter that area unless it is necessary and safe to do so. If the area is bordered by a solid white line, like we've got here, you must not enter that area unless in an emergency. Right? So broken white lines, you shouldn't go into them unless it's safe and necessary to do so. But of course you are the driver, so it is up to you to decide if it is safe and necessary to do so. I often drive in them because I find it gives me a much better angle to get around the corner, or it gets me out of the way of traffic to my side. So it's often a good idea to go through those ones. But if I have a solid white line around the outside of it like this, then I am not allowed in that unless in an emergency. and the only emergency that I can think of is that it involves blood. Somebody is spurting blood somehow. That is the only emergency I can think of, because if an emergency vehicle comes up behind you, they are allowed in it, but you're not allowed to go in it to let them through, if you see what I mean. But they can go in it, so don't break the law. Let them do it. Just wanted to highlight to you, here we've got no colouring in the middle. Here we do have colouring in the middle. Right, the colour is not important, it's just to make it look pretty and Christmassy. Right, as the broken white line comes to an end and you approach an island, a solid white line, or two lanes become one, you will get 2 arrows on the floor telling you to stop overtaking and get back to the left. Alright, and so yeah, so basically if the road's going to a point where you're not allowed to be on the wrong side of the road anymore because there's something in the middle or you're losing a lane or whatever, get back, you're going to get those. So they basically mean stop overtaking, oik it back. Other road markings, you get these things. The purpose of these is to improve the view of vehicles and children, or the approach for vehicles and children, so that the two do not meet. Where there are signs showing restrictions, these will be enforced by the local councils, like here, by issuing fixed penalty notice to violators. You are allowed to park here outside of the hours shown. However, police may issue tickets if you cause an obstruction. So generally, I can't say I've ever found the need to park on them, you know. There's always somewhere to park. So, I mean, generally people just keep them clear. But technically, it's during the hours of operation. Alright? But as with ever, if you cause obstructions, the police can issue a ticket wherever. It doesn't matter if you're on those things. Right. We've already come across that arrow. Where do we get that, people? We get that on the approach to a give way sign at a junction. Because that's what it means. It's a warning of give way. Here we've got parking spaces for vehicles, names. You've got Doctor's Bus Stop, etc. Now, I just want to highlight to you, remember that you are allowed to drive through them because they've got broken lines around them, just not allowed to park in them, alright? So this means that you are allowed to stop in them if you are in queuing traffic. For instance, going up to the high street near Barclays in Farnborough, there is a bus stop marked on the floor. Now, in queuing traffic, you're going to end up stopping in the bus stop. But that's fine, you don't have to keep it clear because there's no bus is going to suddenly overtake all the traffic and pull into the bus stop, is he? He's going to queue with the rest of us and then just stop at the bus stop. So therefore you're not blocking his ability to get to the space because he has to queue behind everybody anyway. So the only time you're not allowed to stop in bussy bits is if it's an in-operation bus lane. Yellow Box Junction. Right, I want to clarify this. You must not enter the box unless your exit is clear. If your exit is clear, then why would you stop in it? Right? And the reason you would stop in it is because you're waiting to turn right, but you can't turn right because there's cars coming at you. Right? So people think you're not allowed to stop in the box, but it's actually enter. Alright? Make sure you can get out the other side before you go in. So there has to be room. So if I'm coming up here and I want to turn right into there, if there was a car parked here because there's a queue of cars, I'm not allowed. I'm going to have to stay here. As soon as the cars move up and there is room for my car to leave that junction, then I can move up and stop in the middle here waiting to turn right, and then turn right when traffic stops coming at me. Alright? So the wording is you're not allowed to enter the box unless you can get out the other side. There must physically be room for your car on the other side, and don't try and follow room assuming that there will be room for you on the other side, because if a car goes through here, stalls the car and can't get it going again in rush hour traffic, for instance, you have now stopped in the middle of a junction. There must physically be room for you on the other side. There are a number of these in the Farnborough test area, and there's some in Guildford as well. Can't think of any in Reading off the top of my head. So make sure you don't go into them unless you can get out of them. Keep clear box. Right, there we go. It is a recommendation, it's not a law, right, to keep clear so as to allow people to enter or exit a side road. So it's not legally enforceable, right? It's only a recommendation, don't stop in it. On a driving test, if you're driving on the main road and you stop in this box, blocking someone trying to enter it from the side, you will fail your driving test. Okay? Now it's not, you haven't broken any laws obviously, but you are driving in an inconsiderate manner. The purpose of the box is to allow access for people from the side, and if you're just saying, oh sod them, I'm going to just park in the middle of the road anyway, then you're being inconsiderate and therefore you will fail. You may stop in it if you have entered from the side road, right? So the key here is, if I had cars queuing up this bit here, then I could come out of here and I could stop there, as long as I left people room to get behind me, and then when the traffic moved on again, I would clear the box. But if I was coming down the hill like this, I would have to stop here. I can't stop there because I'm on the main road. So if it's written directly at you, you're not allowed in it, but if you're looking at it from the side, then you can go into it and you can stop. Alright. Advanced stop signs. Stop lines, even. Right. So you must stop at the first line, here, when the lights are changing to red. But if you can't stop in time for that one, but you can stop for that one, then you must stop for the second one instead. Alright. And allow time for space for cyclists to move off first. I can't really see the point in these things. I mean, we've just spent time trying to get past a cyclist. We get to a traffic light and he comes back and ponks himself right in front of us again. So why would you put the slowest moving, most vulnerable people in front of all of the traffic? I don't understand the point. Never mind, that's the rules. So don't harass them. And of course, like, do bear in mind, this green car here is waiting to turn left. So make sure you have checked down the left hand side. No examiner is going to let you turn if you haven't looked. Zigzags. Right, here we go. Rule 191. You are not allowed to park on a crossing, i.e. there, or in the area covered by zigzags. So you're not allowed to park. You must not overtake the moving vehicle nearest to the crossing or the vehicle nearest the crossing which has stopped to give way to pedestrians. You are allowed to queue in traffic on them though. Alright? So, people often say, why would I overtake there? But remember, you do often get two lanes, so an urban dual carriageway that I mentioned earlier on. So if I had a car here, I would not go past until I've worked out why he hasn't moved off. That's what it's saying. You must not overtake the moving vehicle nearest the crossing, or the vehicle nearest the crossing which is stopped to give way to pedestrians. Alright? So do not overtake at crossings.